a small little hiccup with some audio issues, and we'll get right back into it. We can do like quick little recap. We're talking about how this week is going to be the unlimited portion of NGE. We're pretty excited for that. You have anything you wanted to say about that, Aka?
Oh yeah. First of all, I think there's a slight problem with the cams. I'm seeing myself twice on
You're
stream.
seeing yourself twice on
I
stream
am
now.
Akamaru Red and Sazero at the same time.
Oh jeez. Oh jeez. There we go. There we go.
There
we go. Great.
While we fix that, so Rhinoceros, it was a surprise to see my old friend. I love Roach. It's one of my favorite cards, and seeing it again and losing to it again, definitely feel the salt that people have sometimes when playing against it. And also Dimension Shift. I was playing some control decks and I lost miserably, and I'm like, oh, this is why. Oh, I see. This is why rotation has this kind of deck, and the limited doesn't. Just because there's always archetypes that completely destroy you.
It's everything in Unlimited just seems like an insanely souped up version of the rotation decks right now. It's like in rotation, like the elephant decks, they do a good job doing a Roach impersonation, but they're not really Roach. And the Chimera decks are good, but Chimera with D-Shift it's like premium, you know?
Yeah, it's like you play a Chimera on turn 7, right? I was like, this shift was banned, was nerfed, so I think I'm still alive, and then I'm like, wait, this was not supposed to happen. How do you have 3 dimension shifts on turn 7?
Yeah, they get so much spell boost now, and especially, I mean, we talked about it just a minute ago how Mysterious Knowledge got limited to 1. That card was doing so much work for these D-Shift decks because not only it was a 1-cost spell, it just curved you into your turn 2. So if you were on the draw, it drew your removal spell if you needed a removal spell, and if you were on the play, it got you a golem. I mean,
exactly, and like it gives you a Crimson Sorcery, right? Like on curve Levi Crimson Sorcery, D-Shift didn't have that. They didn't have good removal. Actually, the only way to defeat Dimension Shift was to actually have your 2-drop stick if they didn't have Keglo. Because when you think about it, Keglo is an effective answer, right? But like now having the Missile is just insane.
Yeah, it's just D-Shift was so good at stalling the game, and just giving them more removal and more wards was just making it that much easier for them.
Yeah, and they can make the normal golem also gets the wood if you play it afterwards. It's just bonkers. It just shows you how powerful Unlimited actually is. Just because we have access to 3 Mysterious Knowledges, and I still don't think it's as powerful as one-off Mysterious Knowledge on Unlimited.
Well, I think Mysterious Knowledge in rotation is pretty strong. Like, I'm looking to draw that card quite often in my rotation deck, especially. It's just great at spell boosting out your Darias and stuff like that.
It just gives you free gas. Have 2 spells in such a cheap card that you can play early game.
Yeah, it was a quite strong card. So, one thing I kind of want to talk about before we dive real deep into Unlimited is we're a week away from the nerfs. In about, I think on the 15th, so we're 8 days away. Or like 7.5, depending on where you are. Yeah, they had announced that there are going to be some more nerfs. So, I have an idea of what I think is going to get nerfed. I've been screaming it from the heavens for the past couple weeks now. I'm curious what you think is going to get hit, Aka.
I've seen some spoilers. Not sure if they're confirmed, but some of the spoilers were matching my guesses, except one. I have a feeling that what's the name of the storm card for Haven? That is my
the Heavenly Knight.
Yeah, that's my shot in the dark. My shot in the dark is Heavenly Knight is going to change. I'm sure it's going to happen based on 2 things. So, side games usually nerfs based on win rate, and Summit Temple Haven, even though it wasn't played too much, had 54% win rate, which is kind of high. They always look at those numbers. And also Daria, absolutely. Like Daria also had 54% win rate. It was actually didn't have a high play rate, according to the stats. So which surprised me because I got to Grandmaster by playing like 20 Daria mirrors. So I was very surprised to see those stats.
Yeah, I feel like a Daria nerf is just so would be so strange just because I know Daria is like a huge fan favorite. There are a lot of people that just love their Daria decks, but there are also just a lot of people who don't like playing against Daria. So,
Yeah, I mean, this is why it's sad to have. I mentioned this 2 weeks ago that I was not a fan of changes in the
mhm.
15th of February, just because we don't have enough time to tech and play around Daria. Like I was starting to prototype some lists, just but I'm so busy with Unlimited that I'm not building some lists that I think are very strong against Daria. I just didn't have the time because Side Games is not going to give me the time. I'm not a fan of 15 days of changes. I think it's too fast.
I like fast changes, and since they're only like small changes, they're like one or two cards. I can kind of get behind it, but it definitely does like put us on a clock. It's hard to figure everything out so quickly.
Yeah, it's 15 days. Like I don't remember ever having enough time. Like every deck that I built that I was very confident on took me more than 50 days to build. Nonetheless, like figure out a meta in 50 days.
But there were a lot of like a good amount of metagames in like game like Hearthstone, right? Where by after like 20 days, 25 days, a month in, the meta was like mostly figured out. So what
Yeah,
these changes do is it makes it so that we never actually get to a point where we really fully figure out what the best thing is.
yeah, but the Shadowverse is slightly different with the design, just because the evolved mechanics give you so many options that the meta almost never feels stale. Like
Mm-hmm.
in Hearthstone, you see it's kind of like chess, right? When you go first, you always see the same game plan. When
Mm-hmm.
your opponent goes first, you always see the same game plan. It has some small variations, but you don't see as many differences like in Shadowverse games. You see a lot of differences. You know what I mean, right? Like if I evolve a Cudgel, that's a completely different game than if I evolve a John or a Snow White or something like that, right? Or a Tea Time. It's a very different game plan. I
Mm-hmm.
could be more aggressive if I evolve Phase instead of evolving for value if I get the tempo. So and there's also combo decks. You don't see Daria in Hearthstone. You don't see Daria decks. You don't see Roach or Elephant decks, right? You don't see this this an immovable win condition that you must beat them before they actually establish that.
The closest thing I could think of to like a Daria deck in Hearthstone was like if you remember the Rogue OTK deck with the core, the with the
Oh
Quest
yeah.
Rogue. That's like the closest thing I could think of.
Yeah. Yeah. They just vomit 5/5s
Mm-hmm.
for like 5 mana. Yeah. I remember that. Also, there's what's the name of that? Oh, Zoo. Oh yeah, Zoo also is kind of close to it because you can buff your followers and like create these small pesky minions that would stick to the board.
I think
Like
Zoo is more like mid shadowy. I think they're kind of similar.
yeah.
But
Anyways,
mm-hmm.
so I think I've never felt a meta was figured out in Shadowverse. I don't know if you have the same opinion. Mostly because there's not a lot of streamers, so the perception that the meta is figured is because it
Mm-hmm.
comes from what happens in Hearthstone. There's like 50 different popular streamers that play the same decks over and over, and everyone just follows them. In Shadowverse, we have a lot of more creativity. We have a lot more players that play their own stuff. They build their own stuff.
There's just much less people working on trying to figure it out. Like with Hearthstone,
Yeah.
they have so many more
Well,
people
you
doing
can.
it. But the only real meta that I could think of where I felt like things just felt really figured out was just when Spawn of the Abyss was just as nuts as he was. But
And even then, there was I remember Neutral Rune was actually popping out
mm-hmm.
on the end of Spawn. On the end of the Spawn era, Neutral Rune was popping up, and as soon as they nerfed Spawn, people that were on that Neutral Rune train, they were like, "Oh, nice! Now we can actually get a lot of wins." I saw someone have like 27 win streaks with Neutral. back as soon as the nerf hit because he was already playing it.
Yeah. Before the Felice nerf, Neutral Rune was really strong.
Yeah. And then there's the neutral lion. I remember day one of the nerfs of Felice. Outway was testing the neutral Haven deck because apparently the top 2 players were playing neutral Haven, and they were again playing neutral Haven before the nerfs. So people that are ahead on the meta, they figured out, oh, this is a strong answer to this and X and Y. They will be ahead, and they'll get a lot of.
Mm-hmm. So
Against Daria, for instance, I was seeing a lot more. It gave me a smile when I was seeing conflagrations. My Vengeance Blood had revelations when I played Unlimited. I won some games against Daria because I had Revelation, which was fun.
Revelation. I was playing some Control Blood this week. I was playing a neutral Control Blood that I was playing like at the end of last expansion before rotation became a thing. And Revelation feels so good. I miss that card.
Yeah, I also saw some forest lists with triple Cassiopeia, triple Will of the Forest. Just so you play a Daria board, I leave your Daria alive, but I kill the rest, and then I just try to kill it again and again and again, because eventually the Daria deck will stop gaining stats eventually.
A game plan like that kind of spooks me out because there is like the chance that they just go like Daria, Ogler, like Blade Mage, and then they buff it and then you just die.
It's not perfect, but it was people trying to figure it out.
Yeah, there are ways to fight it.
A deck like Daria, you try every single AoE. That's where it's coming from.
A card that like's been kind of surprisingly a little more helpful than you would think, just in general, is what's it called? The Fire Sprite Grove in Forest. It's like a 1-mana amulet. It's kind of like a fairy circle. It's at the end of your turn, it gives you a fairy in your hands, and then after countdown 2, when it pops, it does 1 damage. So it's like a combination of fairy circle and Elfchild May. And what's nice about that card is it lets you like set up for your more expensive like your Will of the Forest turns, and it lets you get more damage in on those turns because the extra ping is just 1 extra damage you would get on that turn if you play it on the right turn.
You can also barrage it to kill an Ogler that they imagine they play an Ogler on turn 3. You can barrage the Fire Grove and kill it.
Yeah, that's been a card that's been kind of impressive, I think.
Another card that is probably very good is Rainy. I know you like that card, but I imagine that card actually helps because getting the Rain, I call it Rainy.
Yeah, you're talking about the 2-mana 2/2 in Forest, right?
Yeah,
it's got
old card. Yeah, I expect it to work well because giving an extra attack and allowing your followers to survive is actually valuable. When you trade against such a beefy board like Daria, you want to make your Venus or your Cassiopeia or whatever survive.
Yeah, that's
I found out that 2/2s are very strong in this meta.
I think 2/2s have just been insanely strong since the beginning of Shadowverse.
Yeah, but you'd see like Lyrials like being very strong ahead of the meta, but now just even Sector. I've been trying Neutral Blood, even Sector, just a 2/2 that evolves into a 4 and cleanly trades into like an Ogler or like a Blade Mage. Like there's a lot of good trades that a 4 can do.
Yeah, a lot of the like more aggressive and more mid-rangey decks I've noticed are playing like up to like 20 or sometimes even more 1 and 2 drops.
Yeah. Actually, we can talk about that. Neutral Blood. Think Neutral Blood will take the role of Vengeance Blood as the go-to mid-range deck this weekend.
You think so for Unlimited? You think?
Yeah, that for Unlimited. Yeah, we're talking specifically Unlimited.
Interesting. How come you think Neutral Blood will be?
No, I don't think. I'm asking you.
Oh, okay.
You believe it's gonna take the role? Yeah.
I think Neutral Blood is good in rotation, and I think Vengeance Blood is better in Unlimited. Personally, I just feel like you don't get too much stuff going back to Unlimited in Neutral Blood. Most of the good cards in that deck, I think, just stay in rotation.
Yeah, also, like Diabolic Drain I can never get tired about talking about Diabolic Drain. Like it's so perfect. Like we mentioned, 4 damage, very valuable, right?
Hmm.
Diabolic Drain is so good. Having access to Diabolic Drain also. The Wolf was kind of made me sad. One of my favorite cards was Air Jammer. This week I was playing Vengeance Blood. My Air Jammer didn't turn out to be that good, and I was a very big fan of that card.
Yeah,
So
that
it,
Wolf was the best payoff card, and the thing is, there really weren't too many other payoff cards. Like Spiderweb Imp was good because she had Ward. That was like an immediate impact, and then Urias was like your closest one after that because he would sometimes do face damage. But
yeah, and surprisingly, even against aggro decks, was very good to pull because it just allows you to trade, uh, get good trades out of your Air Jammer.
what some secret text on we talked a couple weeks ago about what's it called? What's the name of that card? It's the 2-mana 2/2 in blood, and it makes it so that your opponents can't target your other stuff if he's on the field.
Galretto.
Yeah, Galretto.
Demon of Love, right? Demon of Love? Something Love.
Devil of Love, I think it is.
Devil of Love. Thank you.
So I actually just thought of this. So I kind of think that given how powerful we've seen Daria, or just like Rune in general, like the spell boost Rune decks, I wouldn't be surprised if a Chimera deck or a D-Shift deck or a Daria deck just ends up becoming one of the best decks this weekend. And Galretto actually helps out those matchups a good amount. It doesn't help out Daria nearly as much as it helps out D-Shift. But against something like a D-Shift, you can play out your Air Jammer, and now all of your stuff is protected. They have to remove this Galretto first, which they can definitely do it, but it might make things much more clunky than they want it to be.
Yeah, definitely one of the best ways to beat Dimension Shift as Vengeance Blood was to get a Belphegor into an Air Gym.
Yeah.
Going wide is the best plan you have. As any mid-range, Shadow was the same thing. Getting in big catacombs would help you win the game. It's so much stronger because they have very strong single removal. But if you just go wide, even 2 drops, sometimes I'd even favor playing if I didn't have an Air Gym. I favored playing 2 drops instead of Belphegor against Dimension Shift, just because the 2 drops can most likely give you more damage, but and they exhaust their removal anyways, because they're not gonna save their Wind Blast, right? They're gonna slam the Wind Blast, and then your Belphegor can sometimes survive. So, anyways, speaking about Giant Chimera,
Mm-hmm.
I was building a lot of Giant Chimera decks in rotation, and they weren't working too well. I was getting aggroed and tempoed out,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't think a control Giant Chimera deck is gonna exist. Just because if even in rotation where things are not as powerful, it didn't too well. I don't think it's gonna work too well.
But
I might be wrong.
they do have D-Shift though in Unlimited, and D-Shift does make Giant Chimera a lot better.
Okay, so that's when you mean Giant Chimera deck, you mean Dimension Shift Chimera deck?
Yeah, I've been a degenerate. I've been having this problem with a conversation with people all week. I've been calling the deck Control Chimera, and everyone else calls it D-Shift.
No, because yeah, that's the thing. Like Dimension Shift is, I categorize it as Dimension Shift Chimera is something different than, because I was actually trying a control deck in rotation because we didn't have access to Dimension Shift.
Yeah, it's hard to just survive till your turn 9 chimeras sometimes if that's all you have. Like I was playing a Conjuring Chimera list that was entertaining with all the snowmen. That was just.
I want to see Snowman back again. Actually, a lot of stuff rotated for Snowman when you think about it. I believe Rhymewind rotated, right?
Rhymewind is gone. I think Summon Snow is gone. Conjuring Force is gone. Kaleidoscopic Glow is gone. A lot of that deck is gone.
Yeah, like it was actually hit a lot. Just that people didn't play too much, so they didn't actually notice. But Levi was gone, so yeah, the deck was completely ripped in rotation. We might see it again. I kind of want to see it again. I'm always a fan for Snowman.
I want to believe that just as long as Snowman tokens will exist, it'll just always be a deck just waiting in the sidelines, just steal a tournament every now and then. Because what I feel I've learned from watching competitive Shadowverse is just that every now and then Snowman just gets there. Suzume has proved that one.
There's always a meta where Snowman will thrive.
Well,
The hotter the summer gets, the colder the winter comes, and we will all feel it.
it will be chilly.
It will be chilly. Like Shadow actually.
Mhm.
I was playing some Shadow, and what do you feel about it? I feel it's very weak,
You think
surprisingly.
you think Shadow's weak? I think Atomi is strong. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Okay, okay. Sorry, I mentioned. I was playing mid-range Shadow.
Mhm.
Sorry.
I haven't played any mid range Shadow. I don't think I'm not particularly looking to play mid range Shadow, especially not like the older version with Thane, especially after he got nerfed.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
yeah,
the version you were trying.
yeah. It feels so bad to play Thane now. It's so slow.
I played a lot of 7 mana Thanes in my time. You know, like a turn 7 on curve Thane was a very good card, and just
Yeah,
delaying it by a turn really hurts Shadow. Um, yeah, I think it's homie strong. I think there's a good amount of ways to build the deck. I know because there's so much card draw in the deck. I feel like you can just fit a few flex slots. So like I've seen people put in the Gloomy Necromancer just so that they can high roll with a Saradwin and get a Mordecai or get a Zeus. Um,
yeah. I've seen. Yeah, I was gonna say that reanimate hybrid enemy Shadow. I saw that a lot in Lather. It didn't feel very. It actually felt more inconsistent than the old enemy Shadow because I've lost a game on turn 3 because he reanimated a Mordecai. But
mhm.
I also won a game where it was all over the place. He was playing Kareem one. It didn't get out of me. It didn't get any single good card. There was a fun game. I was playing Daria, and he played Staircase from turn 2 to 4, and I bounced it, and then he surrendered. The third time I bounced it, he actually surrendered because he was trying to set up. I knew exactly what he was trying to do. He kept 3 cards,
Mhm.
so when you play the Staircase, I'm like, you want to skull ring into Adam? Yeah, do what you want. I kept bouncing it, and he surrendered. So yeah, Adam he feels inconsistent.
It's like Enemy is so good at high rolling. Like it's that I feel like the deck just needs like one or two more cards, just add that little bit more consistency to it. Like I feel like Atomy is definitely gonna be a strong deck in the tournament, but to me, I don't see. I find it kind of hard to see Atomy being the type of deck that can get first place in a tournament, just because of how it can just be inconsistent sometimes.
Yeah. Also, Fall from Grace is very devastating. Adam. It's
Have
one of the best answers against it, actually.
Have you seen much Fall from Grace this week? I don't think I've seen it at all this week.
Yeah, we live on an environment where there's a lot. There's too many aggressive decks. There's a lot of Darius. There's a lot of aggro blood. There's a lot of vengeance blood. I don't think there's a lot of Atomy as well. In
Mm-hmm.
in in uh in metas like that, I don't think people try removal at all. Like the removal they want to see is their 2 play point deal 3 or deal 4 damage, stuff like that.
Yeah. So have you? Well, I know you've definitely played a bit of Forest, right? I think we all play Forest. We always do.
Hell
Oh.
yeah! Like if I go back to rotation, I gotta play for Roach.
Mm-hmm. If you go back, yeah, in Unlimited, it's so hard to not play Roach, right? But how have you felt about Forest?
Uh, it's fun. So to give some context to what I'm gonna talk about, it's interesting how a different format like rotation influences the perspective of the playing field. It was so interesting what happened to me this week that back then I'm playing a forest list that has the exact same cards that were available before, but I never tried it. But since I was playing rotation for so long, I was testing Venus. I was playing with elephants. I was playing with wolves. I was playing with a lot of effects, and I was playing with Starry Elf. That made me think maybe I can make a mid-range forest list with the help of witches to finish the game, and it actually worked kind of decent. It was the best, probably not the best forest. Agro forest is probably a lot more aggressive and probably stronger,
Mm-hmm.
but it just felt so good to play it because it felt like the old combo Roach with the more solid baseline. You were building. It's like you build a castle, not in a base of sand. You're actually building a solid castle because the foundation of the deck feels a lot stronger. You always get your Brambles. Brambles was insane in the OTK Roach, but now you can get them consistently with your Hearted Singers and Starry Elves. You can get those solid, powerful cards. And then curving into a Venus, into your Aaron, and then finish off with Roach. It doesn't go all in the zero costs,
Hmm.
which pains me in some matchups. Like D-Shift was harder to win. Avon was more difficult to beat. Dragon is also more difficult to beat, but it was fun to play. It was doing a lot better against aggro decks. Absolutely.
I yeah, the forest deck that you're on is pretty different from the forest deck that I'm on. You're definitely like more of a control-y deck. I think the list that I was playing at one point was playing some Will of the Forest, try to slow the game down. I think I just ended up cutting them all because like we need to go faster.
Yeah.
We can't control anything. So the list that I'm on, it was playing Goblin Mages and Finas, and the only thing it could pull was Roach. And then to make up for the lack of the one drops, since Forest just has so many things that I could play on one now, like between Fairy Circle and between the new Amulet.
Fire Spite.
Yeah, Fire Sprite. Fire Sprite, like, I think really helped the deck out a good amount. And then I wanted to try out Fairy Torrent because I find I look at a card like Fairy Torrent and I'm like, what's going on with this card? This doesn't seem that great. Why does this have this expensive enhanced tack onto it? Why is this like, what does this do? I don't get it. Like, dealing 3 damage with an Airbound Barrage seems way better than gaining a single HP. What's going on here? So, I wanted to mess around with the card, and I'm still not sure where I'm on at the card, but I think the conclusion I may or may not be at is just bounce spells are just great. And
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Bouncing a Roach doesn't matter how much it costs. Like people were playing. What's the name of the other bounce? The 2-cost bounce.
mhm.
That
Let's see.
bounces Roach and something else.
Pixie Mischief.
Pixie Mischief. Like it's not the best card, but pair it with Roach and you got a solid card there.
One of the original versions of this deck that I was playing 3 Nature's Guidance, 3 Airbound Barrage, 3 Fairy Torrent, 2 Pixie Mischief, 2 Ancient Elf. So it was just like all in on all the bounces.
Yeah, some disaster members were playing Ancient Elf. I don't know if you remember that. We on HSK, we got off the train of Ancient Elf when we realized, after the Goblin Mage, we realized that Goblin we would pollute the pools, so we just take away the maze, take away everything else, so Ancient Elf wasn't as strong. They were playing it, and I remember asking them like 6 or 7 months ago, and they actually told me it's because we want more bounces. We are playing Ancient Elf as a 3-play point bounce. Remember that at that time there was no Airborne Barrage,
Mhm.
so they were actually playing it for the bounce. And I remember those words when he told me the Fairy Torrent is just a bounce, and it's a 1-play point bounce sometimes, and that's good enough.
I have set up some interesting lethals with that card. There was one that I remember where my opponent, I think I was playing against Teji actually, where he board locked himself, and I just played the enhance on my Fairy Torrent just to put everything back into my hand so he couldn't kill my board, and I killed him the next turn.
That's cool.
The
People don't expect that, right? You can heal a lot and make it an interactive.
Yeah, 4 HP heal. That's a pretty big heal. I remember specifically I had one game where I bounced 3 followers, barely won the game, was at 3 HP. If I didn't have that heal, I definitely wouldn't have won that game. So it's just interesting card. I'm still not 100% sold on it, but I enjoy it. It's a fun card.
Yeah, they actually have a lot of forests. Really fun to play in Unlimited. They have so many different tools.
They have so many different tools, and the only ones I want are Roach.
No, but no. When I mean tools, you're always playing Roach.
Mhm.
But the friends, the Roach, the friends with the Roach,
Roach and pals
that will play with them are the Roach pals. Those are the interesting things to build. That forest list is something I built in like 5 minutes. I sometimes wake up and I'm like, what if? That's actually how I came up with the Neutral Haven and the Neutral Blood that Malaquits played a lot.
Mhm.
I was waking up one day, I'm like, what if the meta is so board centric. There's no Temis, right? There's no conflagration. What if neutral Haven was a thing? And so I was like, what if neutral Haven was a thing and Lakewitz built it and he was having a lot of success playing that deck? So, and someone in Japan tweeted a deck, and I was like, fuck, why didn't I make this deck? Why didn't I craft my lions again?
That could have been me. I just
Could
don't.
have been me.
I haven't played any neutral Haven, mainly because I don't own lions and I just don't want to craft that card again.
I don't. I'm same. I'm same.
When that card was around and when it was good, like I didn't enjoy playing it, so I'm not particularly excited to craft him again, especially when I know I won't get a refund for him the second time around.
Yeah, it's so interesting though, right? Like to think that old decks that were out of the meta, they were nerfed, they can come back again and be strong. Like I don't imagine Hearthstone having something like that. I don't remember. Like imagine combo, like when combo druid was nerfed, it never happened again ever. It's been like 4 years, and I've never seen combo druid again.
Well,
Just
the rogues have gotten their like OTK combos changed a bunch over the years, and it's like fallen out of popularity and come back and fallen back out and come back.
The Miracle Rogue,
Mhm.
right? It disappeared. It was never seen again. Andlock was very strong. It just disappeared. Because they nerfed Montalja. Because when they nerf, they do it so hard. Like we don't want to have any more problems with this card.
They just take like the best card in the deck and they just grab its head and just snap its neck.
Imagine like Cygames is like, we don't want to hear anyone else crying about Dimension. So let's make it a 25 play point card.
I think people might still play Dimension Shift.
Why wouldn't you play Chimera though? Like, if you're gonna spell boost something 20 times, just play Giant Chimera and win the game.
What I'm waiting for now is I'm still holding out belief. I believe that this card is gonna come. It's gonna be made someday. I believe in Cygames. That one day, for the OTK Roach fans out there, we're gonna get Sniper Circle rather than Fairy Circle. I mentioned this one before.
Oh.
So it's like a 2-mana or a 3-mana Fairy Circle that rather than putting fairies in your hand, it just gives you Elfchild Maze. Because that's still a card that to me still feels like, I think what's it called? The amulet. Fire Sprite Grove. I think that amulet does a good impression of May, but it's still not quite May enough. And I want it. I want the May back. But I don't want to put May in my deck because Goblin Mage pulls it.
Exactly. That's why I don't play Goblin Mage, because Insect Lord has doing so much work for me. I actually pulled another one after crafting my 2 Insect Lords. I pulled the 3rd one, even though I didn't need it. But it's doing a lot of work, and I want to play Insect Lord. And I want to play, if I need to, I'll play the Maze. I really like those cards, and I don't want to hurt myself by not playing such strong cards. Like Insect Lord is probably my favorite card out of the set for specifically.
Do you think it would be too strong if there was ever just a card that just naturally put the Roach in your hands? Do you think that's too strong? So that you would be able
Without changing Roach, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's quite strong. But that would make it so that you could play more stuff with your Roaches.
I limiting the Roach, I think, would be limiting the attack that Roach can get would be a good change. I think like making Roach Roach could only be a 5 attack follower, for instance, instead of the ridiculousness of like 7 and 8 and like the good old 20 damage combo. I think that Cygames should focus in changing 20 OTK damage.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that I do not like playing against.
Yeah,
because we don't have, just to end the sentence, because we don't have interactive ways. We don't have counter spells, right? We cannot stop 20 damage from hand. There's very few ways to do it, and we talked about those last week. But I don't want to be forced to play with Noise or Roland because the meta is so I guess sick or disgustingly broken.
You're saying that now, but maybe one day we'll start getting noise type effects that you'll like more.
Yeah, just print a spell that counter 20 damage. Just kidding.
Y- Yesterday, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I was playing OTK Roach in Unlimited, and I got one of the dumbest lethals I've ever had. Where I just played Fairy Wisp, bounce the other Wisp, play the Wisp, Roach, Roach. It was so gross.
Yeah, and you only needed 4 cards for that. So good job.
It was 5 cards because you need the Arya as well.
No, but you set it up on
Mm-hmm.
on another turn, so
Yeah. And
that specific turn you only needed that. So actually, a good effect, something that would be cool is you cannot lose the game this turn until the end of your opponent's turn. You cannot lose the game. That would be a cool effect.
that would be an interesting effect. I would be a little spooked out if Haven had that because I don't want Heavenly Aegis to do that.
No, but I mean, we can always balance it. You can literally print every single effect into the game, and then you just make it. Okay, this effect is too strong. Make it 10 play points. Make it 15 play points. You need to spell boost it. Right. That's exactly what happened with Dimension Shift. No other card game has what Dimension Shift has consistently because there's no spell boost mechanic. You need to go through the conundrums of having to play 5 cards from outside the game. Or in Magic, you have... Okay, let's not talk about the Magic card, because that's banned, but...
Well, there are so many different ways to take an extra turn in Magic. There's actually one...
Banned,
there's one deck, it was a modern deck, it wasn't, like, particularly great, it was just called Taking Turns, and, like, half the cards... I don't think it was half the cards, but it was just a reasonable amount of the cards just said take another turn after this one. And I think its win condition was it just, like, milled you to death. Like, it just played cards where we both draw cards, and I just make you draw one more card than me, or something like that. I've never played the deck.
Yeah, so you have to go through, like, the specific conundrums of, you have to do clunky things before you actually get the extra turn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to play 15, I think it was 11 or 12 cost card, like Ian's, the Eldrazi Lord, but anyways, Spell Boost is a mechanic that allows you to actually play those strong effects. So you could have a Spell Boost spell, you cannot lose the game this turn. There's the Rogue Hero from Hearthstone, gives you stealth. We talked about Fog, a Fog effect last week about it. A Fog effect would be something that I would pay for. I would pay 10 play points to get a Fog effect.
Would you pay 10 play points for a Fog effect? That's a lot of play points for a Fog effect.
You're basically if my deck needs an extra turn, if I need an extra card to be drawn, or if I need to spell boost, like getting an extra turn could be a difference between winning or losing. I mean, I wouldn't only... Oh, hello, Itomiko. Thank you for the... Oh, that's really nice to hear. Thank you so much. So, paying 10 play points, I would probably not play 10 play points just for that effect, but for something else, I would probably do it.
The only way I could see, like, a 10 play point Fog working is if Polyphonic Roar was still, like, really good and you had 2 or 3 of them on the field.
Oh, yeah. Actually, you could also fog your entire board as well as you. So you could set up a big attack onto them. Oh, Shadowverse from Japan. We're getting so many Japanese players. Ohayo! Arigato.
Arigato.
Arigato onegaishimasu. I learned that one. Also, Ohayo shimasu. They say that a lot. It's good morning, I think. Yeah, Ohayo. Yeah.
My Japanese is just terrible.
Yeah, I know some words only, but I know Akamaru means red circle. I know that. Now I know.
So your name is
anyway,
your name is Red Circle Red.
Yeah, Red Circle Red.
That's like the old Xbox glitch, the Red Ring of Death. That's what it reminds me of.
I remember that, the over, right? It was over. Yeah.
So
so this always happens. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we talk about everything except Swordcraft. I don't know what we have against Swordcraft, but we always do this. We can't. We need to talk about Swordcraft. So talk to me about Sword.
I think Sword's awesome. I think Sword has just been, like, even in rotation, I don't think Sword is particularly great in rotation at the moment, but I think Sword is fun in rotation. And I think just in Unlimited, I think Sword's got strong tools. I think Sword has a lot of really strong tools between things like they still have, what's it called? The 3-mana 3/2 Ward Commander. White Paladin.
White Paladin.
Yeah, they have White Paladin. They have all their one drops. Well, Mars is a rotation, but they have that. They have that combination in Unlimited though.
They have Leonidas. Bahamut does not destroy the Leonidas resolve anymore. So that's a really interesting combo to see.
Oh, I haven't even thought of that one.
Yeah, Autoaim was the one that talked about it. He actually was playing against it on ladder, and it was like, oh, this is smart. Why am I not doing this? So I don't know if it worked for him or not, but he was talking about it. Like Leonidas resolve could actually be something very impactful.
Oh, a card that I think is actually just low-key really strong in Sword, and I think just has been for quite a while, is Veteran Lancer, like the 2/2 ward for 2. And I think that card actually got significantly better now that is it Alexander or is it Arthur? It's
Arthur.
It's Arthur, yeah. When he says Clash in the Name of Glory and you get a whole board of stuff, well, you want things with instant relevant effects. So you want your Kahulans because Kahulan can remove something. And they're something like a Noble Chancellor. Noble Chancellor has an effect. It's kind of hard to use Noble Chancellor, so that's why we don't really see that one get used too much. But just like things with extra effects tacked onto them. Bladed Hedgehog can get buffs after your Kahulan trades into something.
And your Veteran Lancer can protect your Hedgehog too. Yeah.
Your Veteran Lancer comes down, has an instant effect saying, I'm protecting everything. I'm making it so that if your opponent has an exact lethal setup, they now have to be able to have that lethal setup and get through a ward. It's just, I think, just pretty premium. I think that's just good card. Which is just, it's kind of funny. It's just a 2/2 ward. Like, you wouldn't think it's that great, but I think Unlimited is like becoming more and more aggressive too, since we're getting all these cards, these faster cards.
I'm playing Devil's Advocate here. On the other hand, Unlimited is the land of AoE. So Arthur gets exponentially weaker in Unlimited, I feel, because there's always the Themis degrees, there's the Revelations, there's a lot more AoE options. We saw Arthur shine in rotation when Sword was ahead and winning. It was probably because they were playing Arthur into Arthur, and they would just snowball wide boards because of that. But now Themis is actually quite scary. Just one card deals with your entire Arthur board, and you just spend a card. You just spend more play points to play the Arthur, and you just thin your deck of 5 extra cards.
Oh, that's fine though, because you thin your deck of all your garbage cards. You thin your deck of all your 2-drops. So now you're drawing more Arthurs. You're drawing more Alberts. You're drawing more of your high end. Like,
yeah.
And what's nice is Arthur comes down the turn after Themis.
You also give an option for your opponent to grind you though, because. Sometimes the small followers can help you win the game. Carrots, we all experience losing. Like, Carrot is so annoying to deal with that they will eventually get to deal 2 damage and then 2 damage again.
Yeah, it's just infinite value. Anything with infinite value can grind somebody out of a game eventually.
It was annoying. I've been. So I was playing so much Darien rotation, and then I go to Unlimited. I try to play my my Vengeance Blood, and I get faced against Themis Decree, and I'm like, God damn it! And then I try and play against Blood, and I get Revelation, and I'm like, then I play against Dragon, and I get. Apparently, they're playing like a lot of AoE. They're playing Grimnirs, they're playing Frenzied Drakes, they're playing Saaquils, they're playing Bahamuts. I'm like, God damn it! I was spoiled. It's just.
Well, yeah. The main difference I think right now between Unlimited and Rotation is just the lack of good AOE's in Rotation. Like one of the best ones in Rotation is just is Conflagration or John, Beacon of Salvation, and those aren't particularly great AOE's.
Yeah, they're very expensive. They don't do a lot of damage. There's the Reach of the Archdemon.
Dude, that's not that card. Just it hurts me.
Explosion. That's just explosion.
I have tried to put Reach of the Archdemon. I haven't. Every time I build a control blood deck in Unlimited, like one of the first things I do is I put in my Blood Moons, I put in my Revelations, and I'm like, you know what? We're gonna have Revelation and we're gonna have Reach of the Archdemon. We're never gonna leave stuff on board. And then I keep going through the deck and I keep going through the deck and I'm like, wow, I need space for this, I need space for this, and by the time I'm done, I always have to take out the Reach of the Archdemon. So I'm like, I can't
you need ways to win the game.
Yeah.
And Control Blood doesn't have a lot of those anyways, even if you play the 30 the core build of it, you don't have a lot of win conditions.
No, dude, you don't. Like the neutral control blood I'm playing right now. It's I don't think it's a particularly great deck, but it's so much fun. I have so much fun playing this deck.
Oh hell yeah! Like one of the best decisions I've ever made. Again, rotation format opened my eyes to that. One of the first things that I'm actually doing when I build a control blood now is actually put in Zeus. It's such a good card in control blood. It's so good. I was always winning the games because of Zeus. I would just play the same game, play the threat after threat, like dealing with threats of my opponent, and then eventually I play Zeus, force him to deal with my Zeus, and I retain initiative throughout the late game, which is insane. That's exactly what you want as a control deck. You want to stall the game, and then you want to regain initiative. And just Zeus does that so well for you.
For the list that I'm on, for me to find space for the Zeus as much as I want to, the only place I could find space is if I cut Bahamut. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that.
I don't know if you play Spawn. That's a good option to
I'm not.
Spawn Anubis with Zeus.
I'm not playing Spawn. This deck is like, it's mostly a neutral deck. It's playing like 3 Hectors and stuff like that. And
oh yeah, I was doing that too. Yeah.
The main win condition is I go Saha Queel, I Saha Queel like an Israfil, or I Saha Queel a Bahamut, and then I hit what's it called? Laura, Demon Commander Laura, which is basically Zell.
Oh.
That's a really fun win conditioner. Sometimes, like, if you don't have the Saha Queel combo, you can just Phantom Cat. The Phantom Cat hits face for 4, and then you can give that Storm, and it's like 9 damage each.
Yeah, that was my way to win, was Phantom Cat into Zeus.
Phantom Cat and
Zeus. The plural of Zeus. Zeus?
Zeusai. Wait.
Zeusai.
Zeusai? Is it Zeus? Is it Zeusai? Like, how do you say the plural of Akamaru? Akamarus?
Akamarus.
Akamarus? So maybe it's Zeus's. It's Zeus's. Why? That's so simple. Zeus's. Yeah. Zeus, comma S.
Because there was never more than one Zeus. So now you know, Twitch chat, the plural of Zeus.
So we talked a little bit about Vengeance Blood. Now I think that like Vengeance Blood and Aggro Blood are both decks that I think have people are expecting to be pretty good this weekend. Do you think the same about that?
I expect them to be the most played deck. I expect Blood. Okay, I don't expect. I would bet money that Blood would be the most played class. And following that, I believe that the most played deck of the weekend is going to be Aggro Blood. For 2 reasons, mainly because it's not too expensive to build. Most of the cards people were playing before, it's not very expensive. And second of all, because it has a lot of good matchups. It has very good matchups. There's not a lot of decks that can actually fight against Aggro Blood. Also, it has good matchups. So how do you predict which deck is going to be played the most? Is that you look into the most the 5 most popular decks, and then you look at the specific one that has good matchups against them. So I look into Aggro Blood. It has a good matchup against Daria, against Vengeance Blood, against Dragon. Like Karaboss can win you a lot of games against Dimension Shift. So when you look at the 5 against Roach 2, he has a decent matchup. So when you look at the 5 top decks and you see one that has a good matchup against all of those, you probably bet that deck is going to be played a lot.
Another thing that I think Blood has going for it is that it's just one of the cheaper decks. Like I've seen, just talking to people, a lot of people have mentioned like this week, considering Unlimited's been at least in the West a somewhat unpopular format just because there hasn't been too much support for it. So there's a lot of people who haven't really built decks, and I've just been seeing a lot of people saying, you know, I don't really know what to do this weekend. I'm just going to bring triple aggro. Triple aggro is generally cheap just because they don't have too many expensive legendaries.
They also don't require as much preparation. If you play a 3 aggro lineup, your game plan is basically very consistent. You're always trying to do the same thing every single game. So you don't need to have mulligan. You don't need to prepare your mulligan phase. You don't need to prepare your game plan against specific matchups, because most of the times you want to see the curve and you want to do a lot of damage to face and hopefully top end with Karaboss or anything else you may be running.
What I'm curious what you think about something like bringing something like Control Blood this weekend. I know I'm the Control Blood player. I think out of most of the people on HSK, I think I play Control Blood. I mean, if not the most, one of the most. Um, I'm I'm interested in that deck, but what sketches me out about that deck, and what always sketches me out about that deck, is that it like there were so many games I was playing on ladder with that Control Blood deck this week, where I was just like, wow, if my opponent at any point plays an Aegis, I lose the game on the spot. Because I just don't have an answer in my entire 40 cards. And even if I did, I'd have to draw it.
Yeah, that's the problem of like Blood is such a versatile class that forcing yourself to only play the control type is limiting the potential of Blood. I believe that's what Control Blood always lacked, is that Bloodcraft as a class is so versatile, and it's a popular belief among the competitive players that if you're going to pick a blood class, which you like, we are used to always play a blood deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were the ones that said if you don't play blood in what was it, Wonderlands or Starforge? I don't remember. If you're not playing blood, you are a monkey.
It was in Spawn of the Abyss meta, probably, right?
Yeah, because there was Vengeance, there was Aggro, kind of like Unlimited. There's a lot of options. So only playing the control archetype might limit the potential of that class. So it suffers from that. Because like you mentioned, there are some matchups where it's just so bad, so god-awful, that you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to limit the win rate of your class. Especially because Blood, for a lot of people, is the first deck. Is the deck you're most confident with.
I think it's just got
that deck. Go ahead.
I think it's a powerful deck. I think it's just got so many polarizing matchups is the thing. Like its aggressive matchups are usually really good for Control Blood, between things like all of the heals you have, things like Mask of the Black Death, or if you're going the neutral route, things like Hector. They just have Revelation, obviously. You have just so many ways to stall out the game and just keep gaining HP so you don't die. But
that's the thing. Even then, cards like Karabos, even though you have some good matchups, like Karabos, just
it can still get you.
That matchup, yeah, it throws the matchup out of the window. Because then your opponent gets another Karabos, and then gets Dance of Death, and you don't have a fast clock as Control Blood to win the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've been saying, I think Control Blood either needs like a strong burst heal, or it needs like a strong win condition, and or both.
I think they need a different option for Blood Moon.
Yeah.
Actually, do we talk about the amulets that we were talking about on the pre-show?
Yeah, we could.
Cards like, we can segue into that. So Blood Moon, I was saying, I'd like to see a follower that puts a Blood Moon into your hand, so that you're not spending slots of your deck that is already, like you mentioned, it's so tight to actually play more win conditions that you're forced to play Blood Moons and Mask of the Black Death.
Yeah, and like, actually, yeah. So we were talking. To give some context, we were talking earlier. We had recently made in the Discord server like a place for people to make and post some custom Shadowverse cards, and that one person had posted a card about blood, a card that was like a 2/3 that also became a Blood Moon permanently for the rest of the game, and that got us talking about like, it somehow got us talking about Harvest Festival and how Harvest Festival is a 0-drop, and actually you get it off of the Venus now, and it's kind of I can definitely say, like, speaking from experience, you don't always want Blood Moon on 3. Like sometimes you just have it and you're just like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, you hold it in your hand until like turn 8, and you're like, I really wish I had like something to do with this. I could
just losing a card because of that. Yeah.
Or you're already in Vengeance and you top deck a Blood Moon, you're like, sick, I get to pass.
Oh yeah. Also, cards like Mask of the Black Death, you're always gonna play that because the effect is very strong. But you're spending a card for that, and I never feel good. It's like the discussion we had last week
with Nilpotent.
2 weeks ago. Like when you play Nawiz or when you play the Amulet of Portalcraft, you are investing a slot of your deck to play that card, where you could be playing a lot strong cards like bombs or cards that allow you to win the game. When you're forced to play Blood Moon, I never like to play Blood Moon just because of that. You're paying 3 play points to nothing. Activate my strong cards next turn, but I could be playing anything else instead of Blood Moon. I could play a follower that gives me a Blood Moon. I would like to see that.
Blood Moon is like a little bit more lenient because like on turn 4 you can go Blood Moon Diabolic Train, or on turn 7 you can go Blood Moon Revelation. Or if you just happen to have some mana laying around, you can just tempo out the Blood Moon and hope for the best.
Yeah, but when you think about it, like you're playing 7 play points to play Revelation. It's almost as if you're playing the Revelation itself. It's just that it's gonna buff the next plays you're going to do. But again, we could be doing that. Think about Harvest Festival. Harvest Festival isn't playable as a 4 play point card. But now with Venus, a lot of people put a high priority in Venus in rotation because of the Harvest Festival. Just having that card, that's a very good card. And I love that change. That's a very good way to balance cards, is put them as cheap cards, but attached to expensive bodies, so that your opponent doesn't play Harvest Festival on turn 2. They need to play it on turn 6 or 5 to get the effect, because they need to play the Venus first.
Yeah, one of the what was I gonna say? Could you imagine if there was a 0 play point Blood Moon? Just a way to get 0 play point Blood Moons. You just drop a Blood Moon, you just drop a Revelation.
Yeah, but you can actually balance that if you attach a weak body to it. Like make a 5 play point card that's like a 2/3 or a 3/4, give you a Blood Moon for 0 play points, right? That's kind of like what Venus is doing for Forest.
Venus is statted much better, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's making a card that's not as playable be played again.
Yeah. So why don't we go and we can talk about these cards that were submitted to our channel. We wanted to talk about just some of the submissions that we had over the course of the week of the custom cards that people have made, ones that we happen to like, or just happen to have some comments on. So let me get this on the... I want to get this on the stream. You do some talking for a second while I do this.
So I'm watching the stream and I see the beautiful Evo Owl. I forgot to mention that I think Owl is on the nerfing block.
You think so?
He's on the chopping block. Yeah, I think so.
Owl's pretty ridiculous. Like when people have those like double Owl Daria curves, it's actually disgusting.
It's just too flexible. Also against Dimension Shift. I mentioned that I lost on turn 7 to Dimension Shift. It was actually because his hand was double Owl, triple Dimension Shift. It didn't even need Sorcery Cash to beat me. And he Dimension Shifted me on 7 just because of double Owl for a second. So I think it's gonna get changed. I didn't think about it initially, but I saw the spoilers like I mentioned, and the spoilers had Oz. They had Oz, Owl, Scyther, Daria, and I don't remember if there was anything else. I think so.
Well, what I think is like so crazy about Owl is that, like, if you look at I forget the name of the card. It was Spectral Wizard, I think it might have been. It was a 3-mana 2/3, and it got a half evolve, and it had the same effect as Owl. And then you look at that and you compare it to Owl. The Owl is 2/3 of the mana cost and gets 1 extra stat.
The 3 play point, yeah, exactly. It's actually stronger. Owl, when evolved, has more stats than Spectral Wizard, right? Wasn't?
Yeah, Owl has 1 more attack.
3/4, yeah, exactly. She's a 4, yeah. Insane.
Alright, so there we go. Now we have it on the stream. So this one is a card called Frost Teachings. This was submitted by Curry. So Aka, you chose this one. I also thought this is a pretty cool card.
We talked in this podcast. We mentioned how we love snowmen, right? So this is for watching it. This is snowman support. We love snowman support. We want to see more snowmen. As I saw the list, this caught my eye. So it's basically you had a summon snow into your hand, then you spell boosted by 1. It doesn't look crazy. You're just paying 1 play point for basically It's like an insight. But adding summon snow is very important. We both played Snowman deck, the one that Season 8 popularized. We played that deck, and we know how important it is to have Snowman on curve and
Mhm.
to actually have his spell boosted enough. And this also synergizes with Rhyme Wind, which is also another very strong card because it gives you its spell boost to Rhyme Wind and gives you another spell to play on turn 3 for an extra spell boost. So I just love I love the art, I love the name, I love the cute little girl that is actually trying to teach the little snowman. So I just love that card.
I think it's a really cool card. The only thing that's a little spooky about this card to me is that this legitimately Mysterious Knowledge just got limited to one, and this is a very similar card to Mysterious Knowledge. This is 1 mana spell, add a spell to your hand. Um, so
Although you cannot curve the spell.
no, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't, and the Summon Snow has much less impact than a ward would, than a 2/2 ward for 2 would.
Or a 3 damage. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe something like this isn't as powerful as Mysterious Knowledge. We thought this was an interesting card. I thought it was cool. And then the other card that we have for y'all today is this one. Now this was submitted by, give me 1 second.
Quick disclaimer: I picked the Frost Teachings, the balanced card. We will now see the card that's 0 picked, the not so balanced card.
This is a weird card. This was submitted by Kyorako. So this is the last Vampire Urias. This is a 9-mana 5/5. Now it's got Fanfare. You give your leader the following effect: every damage you take on your turn is dealt to the enemy leader. So you have the Bloody Mary effect permanently given to you on 9 play points. So that's cool.
Permanently.
Yeah,
permanently is not cool. That's not.
But you're getting it on a 5/5 body. So you're paying a lot for a powerful effect, but you're getting a kind of lackluster body. Now, the last words on this card is deal 5 damage to both leaders. And I found that to be so strange, because I imagine a 9-mana 5/5 that's giving your leader the permanent Bloody Mary. This is the kind of deck that's going to want to go long, right? Because ideally, you're not ending the game on turn 9 if you're planning on, if your win condition is trying to get you past turn 9, right? So the last words of dealing 5 damage to both leaders, while it makes sense, because if you survive till your turn, your Urias breaks on your turn, you got your opponent for 10. You got there. You had the dream. But I imagine more situations being, you go turn 9, you play this card, your opponent kills your Urias, and you die.
Yeah. Something that is quite weird is that when there's an effect like this, there's a priority set to it, right? So when you have a card like Israfil, your opponent has to commit resources to it. Otherwise, she's going to win the game. The problem we have with this is that when aggro commits resources to my Israfil, they're not doing damage to my face. When aggro commits 5 damage to Urias, they are not losing damage. They're getting the same amount of damage. In fact, they could trade a weak minion, a weak follower, and get their snarling chains to deal 6 damage instead.
Could you imagine?
I mean,
could you imagine playing this and just getting Dance of Death?
So also, we mentioned that this is just bonkers. I said it's not balanced, not because it's broken. It's because it's literally not balanced. It is so imbalanced. It's all over the place. It's on your turn, it's ridiculously strong. On their turn, it's ridiculously bad. So that's why I say it's a balance. Also, you imagine you urd this card and then you play Revelation. You know, I mentioned I hate 20 damage combos. Well, yeah, I don't enjoy effects like that.
That's actually pretty cool. I didn't even think of that. That's a sick way to win. So
yeah, because you're damaging yourself, so you might get yourself into vengeance by doing. Actually, no. If you urd on your turn, you don't get the damage. But anyways, if you have Blood Moon, you can win.
So yeah, where I was coming from with this card was I thought that this was just a cool card conceptually. I like the idea of Urias being an actual playable card. I thought that was neat. I just thought it looked a little confused. Like, maybe rather than... Like, for a control... I imagine this being a control card, so I imagine something like this, you would want it to heal you rather than hurt you. So maybe if this had... It's a 9-mana 5/5, just like Temptress Vampire is, so rather than removing something, what if this just burst healed you 10 and then had, like, last words... not burst healed 10, like, burst healed you 5, like Temptress would, and then had last words heal you for another 5, so that you have HP to play with, so you can get off these do damage to my leader effects.
Also, something really interesting you mentioned seconds ago is that side games should actually put some work into designing leader cards because they give so much flair to the. You know how Vania and everyone loves Vania and like Garuda is also cool because they're actually cards that you can play. You can hear them being played and have the massive effect. I would love to see Rias and Rowan and Isabel being cards that you could actually play with.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of cool. Maybe make update their design and make them the new alternate leaders. They're actually cards, legendaries that when you pull them, but when you pull the cards, you get this updated design.
yeah, like having the leaders in the games are just, it's cool. Like, what's the name of the card? Avowed Strike. When you play that card, that card is just a thrill every time I play that card, especially when you enhance it, and you're just like living on a prayer if you don't know if it's actually going to kill the thing or not, and you just rip the cards off the top and you hear, there's no escape in this lance, and you're just hoping, fingers crossed, I hope I kill it. And just...
It's like 14 damage. It's cool, and the Rin is also very cool. I died in Daride. I always imagine she's saying Daria. That's the one where they play that and then they play Daria. Died in Daride. It's cool. But yeah, like when I play Dragon Summoner, hear the dragons roar. I always like to imagine that's Mini Ro and that's Rowan's daughter.
If you're playing a Dragon Summoner and you're not emoting Hear the Dragons Roar afterwards, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, like she's like the Mini Rowan that I always wish. Hero Dragoon is so cool. Like, I actually thought about playing it just because of the leader. It's so cool to have the leader, and then you play the card. It's like, you know, in Yu-Gi-Oh! The anime, they actually made that. They had bosses or enemies, they actually had their own card, and then they do like the special draw, and they're like, oh, now you'll see my true power, and you actually witness their true power in the form of a card. And that's quite cool. I mean, it just makes it closer to my dream of having Shadowverse as a fully supported manga and anime. I'd like to see that.
That would be cool. So, one thing you said, the idea of hero cards, and that got me thinking of a card like Jiraxis from I almost said Shadowverse, from Hearthstone. So, Jiraxis is a pretty cool card. Do you think that's like the type of effect that we could one day see in something like Shadowverse?
Maybe not, because people would say, "Oh, we're copying Hearthstone." It'd be bad reputation when they're trying so hard to distance themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There might be something negative as PR, but I definitely love to see like new mechanics. Interesting. I definitely like to see. Actually, that's what I imagined when I saw the static effects. Your leader gets this effect. That's how I imagined. This is their version of Jiraxis. Because Jiraxis gets a different hero power. Now we get different, like, static effects. My leader can now, for instance, Jormungand. I love Jormungand. My leader now is dealing 1 AoE damage when he takes damage himself. It reminded me of the Garrosh hero. You know, the new hero power that does whirlwind.
Oh, yeah.
The new hero power. It reminded me of that. It's kind of like I'm playing Garrosh now, and he's doing the extra effects.
The Blade Flurry. Or, I don't remember what, it wasn't called Blade Flurry. No, but the actual hero power had a different name. I can't remember it right now.
It's probably Flurry something.
This is a Shadowverse podcast. It's not important.
Anyway, so that's pseudo leaders, right? You're having special static leader effects.
Mm-hmm. All right, Akka. So I think we can begin signing off, I want to ask you right now, before we do that, if you were to recommend a single class to bring to NGE, what would it be?
Bloodcraft.
Bloodcraft. All right, that makes sense. Since I kind of thought you were gonna say that, so I'm gonna bully you. Second class. What do you choose?
Oh, I'm giving away too much of my strategy.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna be the statistically correct answer.
Okay.
Which is Runecraft. Okay, that's the do not reveal your strategy, Yakamaru. So it's I think Bloodcraft and Runecraft.
I think Runecraft would have been the answer I would have gone with.
No, we can't.
I got it. Let me think of another.
We need to have different opinions.
Yeah, no. Okay? Let me think. I guess I could say Forest. I could go with Forest because Forest is quite strong. I don't know what the best way to build.
I said Runecraft.
Did you?
I thought you were gonna say Forest.
I don't know what the best. I could say that I do believe that Forest will be a strong deck this weekend. I just don't know if everyone's gonna have the right build of the strong deck because Forest I think is a very finicky deck.
Okay, I'm gonna be on. Okay, so I was Chad is raging now. I was protecting Zero. I picked the popular classes, so you'd be like, oh, he's a meta slave. He sucks. He's not creative. Akamaru. I'm protecting Zero. Okay, he's my leader. I follow the leader.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader. Also, I was gonna say something, but I forgot. I'm sorry. Oh, Sword. Yeah. I'm gonna trigger. I think Sword. I think Sword is gonna be.
I think Sword's a very strong pick.
Yeah. Definitely. Tweet chat picked mid-range Sword. Play mid-range Sword, so I can beat you with my Forest and my.
Guys, Gino is still a quite strong card.
Oh, actually. Oh, aggro. Yeah, Forest is a good pick. Aggro Forest is very popular. Forget about that one.
Yeah, aggro Forest. I feel like I don't want to call it like aggro Forest. I just want to call it like some sort of Roach hybrid. Like you're either like a more aggressive Roach deck or you're a more like OTK-ish Roach deck.
But okay, I hated Aggro Forest, but after meeting SOS, Aggro Forest now has a place in my heart because he played that deck so well.
I can't get behind playing Hyperia in a deck. Every time I play that card, I felt anything but safe.
It doesn't have finesse. It's not a Venus. It's ugly. It does the screeching sound. At least Roach sounds kind of cute when you think about it.
When when I play Konoichi Master, right? I get a little spooked out playing that card, that card at least has Tribunal protection. Hyperia doesn't have Tribunal protection, and I just get so scared whenever I play that card.
And Necro Assassin. I was flamed by Twitch chat because I evolved 2 Hyperias against Fatina. And I was like, Twitch chat, what do you want me to do? Play my fairy and pass? Like, what was I supposed to do?
You can not evolve, but you need to get in that damage.
A week that my win condition was like, hopefully the Hyperia is gonna stick. So I just evolved it. And they were like, oh, why are you evolving against Shadow? I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Play fairy and pass? Sorry, Twitch chat.
We all know Portal will win NGE and Unlimited. That would be awesome if Portal just comes out of nowhere and just wins.
Unlimited. Wow.
Just PTP Portal just crushes everything.
Oh, yes. Please, if I lose the finals to PTP Portal, I would be glad. First of all, because I get points in second place, and because I lost to PTP.
It's a win-win.
Win-win. Speaking of that, we want to do good. We want to do really well because we are breaking the off point. NG, if we don't make top 8, I believe that if I don't make top 8 this weekend, I think I'm out. Probably, I think I'm definitely out of the tournament. So, if you guys like and you support HSK, come cheer for us. We need your help this weekend.
Yeah, we have a lot of catching up we need to do. We fell a bit behind the first couple of weeks. I think we can do it though.
We monkeyed around too much.
I think we could do it. I think it's possible. We just need to get good lineups. All right. Well, I think we covered a lot of things. This was a fun cast. I enjoyed this one. We don't get to talk about Unlimited very often.
Yeah.
Especially since Unlimited kind of just came out.
And we are Roach fanboys. So
Mhm.
It's always nice.
Absolutely.
Have a conversation about it. We will have to say goodbye eventually, but we just want to enjoy it.
Oh, I'm on borrowed time with Roach already. Every moment I have with it is precious. All right, guys. You have any shout outs you want to give?
Shout outs to Shadowverse Open. Watch that a lot. Playing that a lot. Shout outs to HSK. Join Discord. I'm sure Zero is gonna post all our links. Follow us on Twitter. We post from time to time. We post fun memes. We also post lists. Also tournaments. We do a lot of events. A lot of tournaments. Always check out. If you follow us on Twitter, we will tweet about it. We have prized tournaments. We also want to shout out. I'll give that to you. The New York. Talk about it.
Yeah, so there was actually a slight change of where the event is going to happen now. We're still going to be having the event. It's going to be on the 18th of February now, same day as before. If you are interested in coming to it, contact me and I will help you with reaching the location. And Echo. Well, actually, Jackie's got some good time because I wanted to give him a shout out too. I wanted to give a shout out to him and to Teji. Both of them have been streaming more and more, and that's awesome. And definitely give them some views if you guys want to watch some Shadowverse. They're good players. And I think that's it. And have a good week, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye.